Hello and welcome back to The Vacant Light. Today I'm back with another video review, and I'm covering Torture Garden's debut album called Dead Romantic. I wasn't familiar with Torture Garden until recently, where I heard about them because of their connection to Serotonal. Now, you guys know that I'm a huge Serotonal fan, and this band in particular shares the guitar player Matt Ford with Serotonal. In addition to that, Matt's brother Adam is actually the vocalist for this band. And of course they have other band members as well. So that's basically how I heard about this particular band. Now in terms of their style, they like to play a form of doom metal that also combines a lot of variety, including more acoustic parts and also a black metal influence. So overall this is something that is really up my alley as a fan of doom metal and also experimentation in general. This is their first full length from 2011 and gives you a good taste of things to come from this band. Now to start, I'd like to mention the vocal styles. Now, Adam Ford is quite a diverse vocalist. You can hear throughout different tracks that he experiments with clean singing. In particular, I do enjoy parts where the clean singing has some nice double tracking to it, such as in the opening track, Sacred Heart. I really felt that that kind of vibe really added an atmosphere to the song, and something that was a little bit progressive, maybe more so than your traditional doom metal. In addition to that, he also experiments with more low, guttural, sort of doom death styles, a variety of black metal styles as well, including the lower and higher pitched styles there, and really just tries to include as many different sounds in the record as possible, depending on what's going on in a particular song. With that said, I can enjoy each different style to some extent, though I do have my preferences. In particular, I felt that the clean singing was very well done at all parts, and the sort of doom death style was actually quite a highlight as well, particularly on the song Yet Never, which is sort of a more traditional doom metal sound with a little bit of a modern spin added to the track as well. Now, the black metal sound, for me, is something I do enjoy. However, there was sort of one moment where the vocalist went really high-pitched with the black metal sound, almost a little bit of a yappy sound, and that was I believe it was in the band's title track called Torture Garden. And although I enjoyed it to some extent, I didn't feel it was as well developed as the other sounds and styles going into the record. So overall, I do like the band's epic creativity and all the different influences they're bringing to the music. But I think in the future, I'd like to hear them sort of fine-tune those particular sounds a little bit more. Now, going on to the guitar work, this band does in fact have two guitar players. I felt that they used two guitar players quite well, at times having really just one big wall of sound that hits you as a listener. And at other times I really felt that the band was able to use similar riffs between the two guitar parts, but make them both distinctly audible at the same time, using things like different pitch, or slightly different pitch between the two guitar players to keep that very interesting. There also is a little bit of guitar soloing thrown in as well, which adds to the mix. I'm not the type of person who finds that guitar soloing is really a must-have on records, but when it's added and when it's good, I do enjoy it, and that's the case on this album. What I really enjoy about the guitar tone is that it's very nice and melodic for the most part. It flows very well, and I really feel that the flow and the sound do work quite well together with that melodic, kind of melancholic style. There's also a little bit more of an aggressive style put in here and there, more in the lines of black metal, but for the most part it is more doom metal centric than black metal centric. With that said though, I feel that there could be a little bit more cohesion between the guitar playing and the vocals. In particular, I find that most of the more interesting guitar parts are played when there's no vocals happening, and I feel that in the future, if this band wants to get bigger, better, and improve their sound, I think they can really go even farther with adding a little bit more intricacy to the guitars while the vocals are being presented. In addition to that, I really felt that there was some nice clean sounding guitar work on here as well, in particular on the song SOS, which is sort of like the more acoustic sounding kind of slow song on this album. I felt that that song was actually one of the highlights of the record, just because that nice clean sound works well with some of the vocal vibes that you get from the vocalist as well. Moving on to the bass playing, I felt that the bass, for the most part, blended into the music. but did so in a way that added a little bit more richness to that wall of sound kind of vibe in a lot of places. There were some moments where the bass was more definitive and more audible. It had a nice, fairly warm sound to it, which I enjoyed. But for the most part, I really felt that the bass playing fit well into what the guitars were doing. I didn't try to be too divergent, but did blend in quite well. The drumming itself is not entirely aggressive or technical at all parts, but I felt that even in the slower parts, there's enough of a kind of simmering vibe to keep the song going. And I also felt that there was a good amount of fills, which is a bit unusual for slower paced music, but those fills did fit the pace quite well and added a little bit more intricacy than you would expect. There were a couple of moments with more of a aggressive black metal kind of snare oriented style, and I did enjoy that, but I preferred the slower moments, I think, a little bit more than the more fast paced moments on the record in terms of the drumming. Uh, Overall, I felt that the drum sound was really nice. The sound of the cymbal rang out pretty well on the record. The skins weren't overly tight, which added a little bit of atmosphere to that drumming sound. And last but not least, the band did feature a keyboard player on this album. That player was able to be very subtle and was not present at all parts in the music. There's a mixture of sort of sustained atmospheric vibes and more intricate parts thrown in there as well with the keyboards. So that was one of the more subtle and very well done parts of the album altogether. Overall, I'd like to say that what really I find that is quite enjoyable about Torture Garden is that they are able to add a very atmospheric, melancholic sound to this album, and it flows through from the vocals, the lyrics, to the guitar playing, and even the drumming, and so on. And I felt that there was a good amount of cohesion with that. And I also felt that the band had a lot of raw, unfettered creativity, included in things like the diversity in the vocal styles, mixing up the sort of blending in versus the more distinct parts in the instrumentation. I really felt that those things were all very well done. If anything, my biggest gripe with this album is that some styles were more well done than others. Going back to, for example, the vocals, I felt the more melodic parts were more well done. And I felt that they could even do more to add to that big atmosphere. Like, one of my favorite songs on the record was the intro of Sacred Heart. And I really felt that on that song, the dual vocals kind of added a whole lot of different style and sound to the track. And I felt they could use that style a little bit more to add a little bit more to that influence and that kind of progressive nature of the music. In addition, I really felt that the band could have made the sort of guitar parts move a little bit more, and in particular make them a little bit more intricate while the vocals were being presented on the record. But other than that, I really found this to be quite enjoyable. Now, I'd like to mention to you that this album I bought for very cheap. I think I spent the equivalent of $6 Canadian on this record, and it was a great investment. I know that Torture Garden offers their music for free streaming and I believe free digital download as well. But, go ahead and support this band. I'll make sure you have the link to pick this up, because it is worth owning. It's a great doom metal album. It adds a little bit of modern spin, and it feels like they have a lot of ideas that can be even further fleshed out on future releases. Thanks a lot for watching this, and have a good one. Support Torture Garden.